The guy sounded 100%. It was amazing. It actually probably goes to speak to how good some of these vaccines that are being created are. And what my father's done on the vaccine front, no one could have done. No one could have done. I mean, literally, Biden was calling my father xenophobic for shutting down America from travel to China. I mean, and the virus came from China. My father literally started day one creating this vaccine. He worked to push this vaccine, and now my father just took it, and you see how well he got over it.
Wait,
I think it's an inspiration. I think as Americans, John, we should be very proud of that.
Can you clarify that? You said your father just took a vaccine?
Meaning when he was in Walter Reed, the medicines that he was taking, and
the Therapeutics.
Friday, he felt horrible. And on Saturday, again, I spoke to the man 3 times on Saturday, and he sounded tremendous. And I think it goes to show the power of medicine and in this country, and how far that we've come on COVID in the last 6-7 months.
And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So to give you a little context in this verse, John is seeing what he calls the beast, that has many heads, and that one of its heads was wounded with a deadly wound. If we look here on BibleHub.com, I like this site because you can dissect each passage of the Bible and really narrow down each word's original meaning. For instance, if we want to know what kind of wound this beast had in verse 3, we can look at the origin of the word for wound, which derives its root meaning from the Greek word plage, which is where we get our word for plague. So this beast has a deadly wound, which was a plague of some kind. Well, we know that COVID-19 is a deadly plague, and that Trump apparently caught this plague himself. So we can see that the correlation between Trump's plague and the COVID-19 plague that this beast in the Bible got that was healed adds up perfectly so far. But let's take it even further and dissect the meaning of the word healed. According to Strong's Concordance, the word healed comes from the Greek translation therapeuio, which is where we get our word in English therapeutics. So the literal translation of the verse would then read as, "And I saw one of the heads of the beast," meaning one of its leaders, "as it were wounded to death with a plague, and his deadly plague was healed by therapeutics," which is exactly word for word what has happened to Trump, where he supposedly had the plague and was healed from it by therapeutics in 3 days.
I want to begin by thanking all of the incredible medical professionals, the doctors, the nurses, everybody at Walter Reed Medical Center. I think it's the finest in the world for the incredible job they've been doing. I came here, wasn't feeling so well. I feel much better now. We're working hard to get me all the way back. I have to be back because we still have to make America great again. We've done an awfully good job of that. But we still have steps to go, and we have to finish that job. And I'll be back. I think I'll be back soon. And I look forward to finishing up the campaign the way it was started and the way we've been doing and the kind of numbers that we've been doing. We've been so proud of it. But this was something that happened, and it's happened to millions of people all over the world, and I'm fighting for them. Not just in the U.S., I'm fighting for them all over the world. We're going to beat this coronavirus, or whatever you want to call it, and we're going to beat it soundly. So many things have happened. If you look at the therapeutics, which I'm taking right now, some of them, and others are coming out soon that are looking like, frankly, they're miracles. If you want to know the truth, they're miracles. People criticize me when I say that, but we have things happening that look like they're miracles coming down from God. Hi, perhaps you recognize me. It's your favorite president, and I'm standing in front of the Oval Office at the White House, which is always an exciting place to be. I got back a day ago from Walter Reed Medical Center. I spent 4 days there and didn't have to. I could have stayed at the White House, but the doctor said, because you're president, let's do it. I said, fine. You tell me what to do, and I'm going to listen. These are great professionals. They've done a fantastic job. And by the way, not only at Walter Reed, all over the country, we have the greatest doctors in the world. We have the greatest nurses, the greatest first responders, law enforcement, by the way, incredible. Firefighters, everybody. They're just great. We have great people. This is a great country. And I went in, I wasn't feeling so hot. And within a very short period of time, they gave me Regeneron. It's called Regeneron. And other things too, but I think this was the key. But they gave me Regeneron. And it was like unbelievable. I felt good immediately. I felt as good 3 days ago as I do now.
You'll see many more. People will come pouring in from land and sea. We'll have centers for testing. Let's start investing.
We have hundreds of thousands of doses that are just about ready. I have emergency use authorization all set, and we got to get it signed now. And you're going to get better. You're going to get better really fast. This is things that nobody even thought of a few months ago. The job that the scientists, the labs, everybody have done is incredible. Then in addition to that, you have various other drugs that help a lot, but these, I view these, I know they call them therapeutic, but to me it wasn't therapeutic, it just made me better, okay? I call that a cure. So I want to get these things done. So we have to get them done, we have to get them approved, and I want to get them to the hospitals where people are feeling badly. That's much more important to me than the vaccine. But on the vaccines, we have many companies that are in final stages for the vaccines, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna. Pfizer, all great companies, but many of them. And we're going to have a great vaccine very, very shortly. I think we should have it before the election, but frankly, the politics gets involved, and that's okay. They want to play their games. It's going to be right after the election. But we did it, nobody else. Nobody else would have been able to do it. The FDA has acted as quickly as they've ever acted in history. There's never been a time, and no president's ever pushed them like I pushed them either, to be honest with you. But the FDA is approving things in a matter of weeks that used to take a matter of years. So we have these drugs, Eli Lilly and the others that are so good, but they are, in my opinion, remember this, they're going to say that they're therapeutic, and I guess they are therapeutic. Some people don't know how to define therapeutic. I view it different. It's a cure. For me, I walked in, I didn't feel good. A short 24 hours later, I was feeling great. I wanted to get out of the hospital. And that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to be given the same treatment as your president, because I feel great. I feel like perfect. So I think this was a blessing from God that I caught it. This was a blessing in disguise. I caught it. I heard about this drug. I said, let me take it. It was my suggestion. I said, let me take it. And it was incredible the way it worked, incredible. And I think if I didn't catch it, we'd be looking at that like a number of other drugs. And you'll see some amazing things happen because we have, our military is doing the distribution. It's called logistics. And they deliver hundreds of thousands of troops in a matter of days. This is easy stuff for them. Our general's all ready. We're waiting for the emergency use authorization. And the drug companies have just made a lot of it. So hopefully this is going to be not just a therapeutic, it's going to be much more than a therapeutic. You're going to get better fast, just like I did. So again, a blessing in disguise. Good luck.
Not only that, it seems like I'm immune, so I can go way out of a basement, which I would have done anyway, and which I did, because you have to run a country. You have to get out of the basement, and it looks like I'm immune for, I don't know, maybe a long time, or maybe a short time. It could be a lifetime. Nobody really knows, but I'm immune. So So the president is in very good shape. And I have to tell you, I feel fantastically. I really feel good. And I even feel good by the fact that, the word immunity means something. Having really a protective glow means something. I think it's very important to have that. To have that is a very important thing.
The problem is in the United States, the anti-material units are back to the real units. We also had to communicate between the two units because finally there's a gap.
Now that is what I call Olympic spirit.
His 3 days staying at the hospital could be seen as a mockery or mimicry of the 3 days that Jesus spent in the tomb, where Trump had risen after 3 days after he was miraculously healed with therapeutics. The reason that I found this out was because the moment I heard that Trump had come down with COVID-19, which I already knew was going to happen, but I didn't want to post about it because I knew that I would probably get in trouble over it. But after that, I had immediately thought of this verse and I wanted to study it further in depth. And the way he says and uses the word therapeutics, I thought that was a very peculiar word and an interesting way to describe how he was healed from the plague. So I looked it up and there it was. Trump was again literally fulfilling the prophecy word for word. And I don't know if he does these things on purpose to either mock us or that he is unknowingly fulfilling the prophecy, but it does fulfill the prophecy nonetheless. So let's continue with the ending of the verse in chapter 13 of Revelation. And the whole world wondered after the beast. Now, it is no surprise that after Trump had tweeted that he and his wife had gotten COVID-19, that the entire world erupted with the news of this.
Stunning news. The President of the United States now confirming to the world that he and the First Lady of the United States have both tested positive for the coronavirus and they will quarantine.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Brian Williams.
Brian Williams back with you again. In addition to our ongoing coverage on the MSNBC network, we're coming on to let viewers on NBC know what we know as we are covering an extraordinary development. 32 days out from an election, the President of the United States has tested positive for COVID-19.
Scott, it's noon on the East Coast. Here's the news from CNBC. The President and First Lady are positive for COVID-19, now in quarantine at the White House.
Good morning to you. This is the early rundown. We're starting with breaking news, and in the last few minutes, President Trump has tweeted saying that he and the First Lady have tested positive for COVID-19.
I'm Michael Wong here in Beijing. Well, first off, U.S. stock futures extended their losses today after President Donald Trump said he and his wife had tested positive for COVID-19 just weeks ahead of elections. Futures for the S&P 500 slitting some 1.21% by early afternoon in Asia, now paring back some of those losses, but Treasury yields also falling.
Returning now to the U.S., where Donald Trump and wife Melania are in quarantine after testing positive to coronavirus.
Pemirsa, Presiden Amerika Serikat Donald Trump dan istrinya Melania Trump dinyatakan positif COVID-19.
您正在收看的是新闻直播间。
我们再来关注全球疫情。当地时间2号凌晨，美国总统特朗普通过社交网络称，自己和夫人梅拉尼亚新冠病毒检测呈阳性，将立即开始隔离和治疗。
In the last few minutes, it's been confirmed by President Trump. He has tweeted to say that he and his wife have tested positive for coronavirus. This just in the last 10 minutes. US President Donald Trump and the First Lady saying we will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately.
Johnson tweeted this morning that he wishes President Trump and the First Lady a speedy recovery. Other international reaction was more barbed. The official China Daily wrote, The positive test is yet another reminder that the coronavirus continues to spread, even as Trump has tried desperately to suggest it no longer poses a danger. The French government spokesman said this demonstrates that the virus spares no one, including those who have shown skepticism. And this morning, Russia's Vladimir Putin, who lives in one of the world's most isolated and protected COVID bubbles, wished President Trump well in a telegram, according to Russian state media. I am certain your inherent vitality, good spirits, and optimism will help you cope with this dangerous virus, the telegram reportedly said.
Literally, the entire world was talking about it, or at least had heard about it. The whole world was in wonder of what was going to happen to him, and they were all throwing in their 2 cents about it. So here we can see again that the whole world wondered after Trump and was wondering what was going to happen to him. So anyways, let's keep reading this chapter because I believe it has a lot to do with Trump. In the next verse it reads, "And they worshiped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" So in the previous chapter, chapter 12, it talks about how the dragon was cast out of heaven and fell to earth. This is the 923 event in the heavens that happened 3 years ago. So the dragon, aka Satan or the devil or Lucifer, has but a short time to reign before he gets sent back to the bottomless pit, aka the black hole. So when they worship this beast, they are really worshiping the dragon, which is the devil, or what can be called the Antichrist spirit. And who is like the beast? Who is able to make war with it? Meaning basically that no one will stand up to this beast and make war during this time, which is what we see happening with Donald Trump. He has made peace with all of our enemies, including Russia, North Korea, China, and the Middle East. Don't be fooled by the theatrics of politics that they are playing. China and Trump have already struck a deal. The whole world is going to strike a deal with Trump. That's his thing, remember? He wrote a book on it. So continuing on in the next verse, we read, "And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven." So when Trump turned around and looked up to the heavens and exclaimed, "I am the chosen one," this could be seen as a blasphemy because we all know that Christ is the chosen one. He also calls his healing from the plague as miracles coming down from God.
If you look at the therapeutics, which I'm taking right now, some of them, and others are coming out soon that are looking like, frankly, they're miracles. If you want to know the truth, they're miracles. People criticize me when I say that, but we have things happening that look like they're miracles coming down from God. Not a single American who has needed a ventilator has been denied a ventilator, which is a miracle.
So if he was actually lying about being sick and then being cured and at the same time calling it a miracle from God, that would definitely be seen as a blasphemy because he's taking something sacred like miracles from God and making a spectacle out of it. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. So we see how Trump was blaspheming God, but how would he be blaspheming his tabernacle? Here are the new temple coins that Israel has created to coincide with the building of their new temple in Jerusalem. This temple is a giant prophecy that is being fulfilled, which is a whole other tangent in itself. But we know for a fact that Trump is directly involved in it, because that is almost the entire basis of the peace treaty between him, Israel, and the Middle East, and that the discussions over the treaty are mainly about the temple in Jerusalem. This land has been fought over for thousands of years, and now Trump is finally the one sealing the deal, so to speak.
Just a few moments ago, I hosted a very special call with two friends, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed of the United Arab Emirates, where they agreed to finalize a historical peace agreement. Everybody said this would be impossible. This is a truly historic moment. Not since the Israel-Jordan peace treaty was signed more than 25 years ago has so much progress been made towards peace in the Middle East. By uniting two of America's closest and most capable partners in the region, something which said could not be done. Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
So this would normally be viewed as a good thing, but because of the prophecy that it entails, it is a giant red flag. And this verse also correlates with the verse found in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 through 12. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie.
Disinformation is going viral. The pandemic has given a boost to conspiracy theories like those propagated by QAnon, with its claim that Satan-worshipping pedophile elites are running our lives. Launched 3 years ago in the U.S., QAnon is spreading to Germany as well. Its adherents joined forces with COVID deniers and right-wing extremists at recent protests in front of the Reichstag. Some QAnon supporters on both sides of the Atlantic have been linked to violence. Our title today, QAnon, How Dangerous Are Conspiracy Theories?
That they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So let's break down each verse word for word. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So I go over this in my video entitled, The Entire World is Deceived, They Are Drunken with Strong Delusion, and that the entire world is being deceived right now on many, many levels. This is what people often refer to as 5D chess, but what they don't realize is that they are the ones being played. So we can see how people are becoming deceived, how millions believe that Trump is the literal savior of the world, and even more people who believe that God has chosen him to lead us.
Thus says the Lord to his anointed, Donald Trump. Now that I have your attention.
I think God calls all of us to fill different roles at different times, and I think that he wanted Donald Trump to become president, and that's why he's there.
Mr. President, I know there are people that say, you know, you said you were the chosen one, and I said, you were.
What is your view kind of spiritually on the sovereignty of God and what he's doing exactly by putting Donald Trump as president of the United States?
Well, you know, I think it goes to show that everything happens for a reason.
Could it be that President Trump right now has been sort of raised for such a time as this, just like Queen Esther, to help save the Jewish people from an Iranian menace?
As a Christian, I certainly believe that's possible.
I think that God sometimes places people for lessons and sometimes places people for change.
I'm confident that the Lord is at work here.
Explain why you say that God has given
President Trump the authority to attack North Korea.
The Bible, especially Romans 13, does give President Trump moral authority to use whatever force necessary, including assassination or even war, to topple an evil dictator.
The Reverend Franklin Graham says President-elect Donald Trump was put in the White House by God.
This election, no question, I believe God's hand was in it.
I see the greatest president in history. Of course he is. He was chosen by God.
God, in some reason, put him there for a purpose. I don't know what that is. But we need to get behind him and support him.
To say no to President Trump would be saying no to God.
You really believe that God divinely interjected himself into the campaign and actually chose Donald Trump to win?
I absolutely believe that because I'm a Christian.
Of course the president's not the king. The president's far more powerful than the king. The president has the power that kings have never had. He's a very, very powerful office, and the framers wanted it that way.
Right-wing talk show host Wayne Allen Root, who's on Newsmax, decided to talk about Donald Trump and how he's really just a giant gift to the Jewish people. Okay, and immediately following that, Trump decided to tweet his statements, and here's what he said. Thank you to Wayne Allen Root for the very nice words. President Trump is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world, not just America. He is the best president for Israel in the history of the world, and the Jewish people in Israel love him, and the Jewish people in Israel love him like he's the king of Israel. They love him like he's the second coming of God. We'll come back to that in just a second. But American Jews don't know him or like him. They don't even know what they're doing or saying anymore. It makes no sense, but that's okay. If he keeps doing what he's doing, he's good for all Jews, blacks, gays, everyone. And importantly, he's good for everyone in America who wants a job. Wow.
So the wow is Trump. The rest is Allen Root's quote that he is re-quoting on Twitter wholesale. Okay, so evangelical Christians, you still pretending, if you're a right winger, you're still pretending to be Christian? Can you imagine if Barack Obama called himself the second coming of God? Can you imagine if Obama said, I am the king of Israel? This liberal commentator has said, I am the king of Israel, and he's made a very brilliant point. That is right.
I don't think that the tweets even capture how incredibly offensive and disgusting Allen Root's comments were. So I want to show you that video. Let's take a quick look at that, and then we'll give you some more analysis.
And 75% of all Jews vote Democrat, and they don't like Trump. And this is the greatest president for Jews and for Israel in the history of the world, not just America. Trump's the best president for Israel in the history of the world. And the Jewish people love him like he is the king of Israel. They love him like he is the second coming of God.
Look, guys, Trump said he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and his followers wouldn't mind. If you're a real Christian, this is on that level. When someone is so full of pride that they compare themselves to Jesus Christ and they say they're the second coming of God.
So I actually like the New International Version's translation of the verse here, which states, he will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. So here we have the brand new Trump temple coins where he has literally branded his face onto Israel's new temple coins. Now historically, the temple coins were used as a temple tax back then that signaled devotion and support of their holy place. So here we have Trump literally setting himself up in God's temple as a symbol of devotion. And if we remember the story about Jesus and the money changers, this was the only record that we have where Jesus had gotten angry and became almost violent because of how mad he was at the money changers and how they were set up in the temple of God as a sort of currency exchange. I could only imagine how Jesus would feel towards Trump right now by printing his face on the new temple coins to be basically used as a form of worship. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. So it's no surprise that politicians lie about a lot of things.
Hillary Clinton wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Just remember that. We're not talking about change it. She wants to abolish the Second Amendment. So we're not going to let that happen. I can tell you that right now. We're going to preserve it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to take care of it. Okay? They'll take away your Second Amendment, which we will never allow to happen. They'll take away your Second Amendment. We need our Second Amendment protected. We have to protect our Second Amendment, which is under siege. We're going to do strong background checks. We're going to work on getting the age up to 21 instead of 18. We're getting rid of the bump stocks, and we're going to be focusing.
There's just been another massacre in Virginia Beach where the shooter used a silencer. Yeah. What is your view of silencers? Would you like to see those banned?
Well, I'd like to think about it. I mean, nobody's talked about silencers very much. They did talk about the bump stock, and we had it banned, and we're looking at that. I'm going to, seriously look at it.
Would you like to see those banned?
I'm going to, seriously look at it. We must make sure that those judged to pose a grave risk to public safety do not have access to firearms, and that if they do, those firearms can be taken through rapid due process. That is why I have called for red flag laws, also known as extreme risk protection orders. So long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second. Some really fine people, the Republicans, and then with a very dishonest person, crooked Hillary Clinton. It is amazing how you can delete 33,000 emails after getting a subpoena from the United States Congress. Here's the thing. It's crooked Hillary Clinton. Oh, she's as crooked as they come, folks. Just take a look. She's as crooked as they come. I don't care. See, I can say things. I don't care. Hillary Clinton wants to abolish the Second Amendment. Just remember I wanted to say, because I was very honored, very, very honored, when I heard that President Bill Clinton and Secretary Hillary Clinton was coming today. And I think it's appropriate to say, and I'd like you to stand up. And honestly, there's nothing more I can say, because I have a lot of respect for those two people. So thank you all for being here. With nations who openly cut interest rates so that now many are actually getting paid when they pay off their loan, known as negative interest. Who ever heard of such a thing? Give me some of that. Give me some of that money. I want some of that money. Our Federal Reserve doesn't let us do it. So that's fantastic. But I want to thank Republicans and Democrats for coming together, setting aside their differences, and putting America first. Now, I'm going to sign this, and it's a great honor. $6.2 trillion. I've never signed anything with a T on it. Give me some of that. I don't know if I can handle this. Give me some of that money. I want some of that money. We can't chicken out at this point. I don't think so, huh? All right. Thank you all. And we're all dealing together. We all want the same thing. We're all good people. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, doesn't make any difference. We're going to get along. So that's fantastic. But I want to thank Republicans and Democrats for coming together, setting aside their differences, and putting America first. 2 years old, 2.5 years old, a child, a beautiful child, went to have the vaccine and came back, and a week later got a tremendous fever, got very, very sick, now is autistic. They have to get the shot. The vaccinations are so important. This is really going around now. They have to get their shot. Gavi operates with great transparency, and Boris Johnson is somebody with tremendous respect for you and everything you do. He called, he said, "Do you think you could do something maybe around the Oval Office or right by the Oval Office?" I said, "Why not? It happens to be right behind me." As the coronavirus has shown, there are no borders. It doesn't discriminate. It's mean, it's nasty, but we're going to all take care of it together. It's great to be partnering with you. We will work hard. We will work strong. Send my regards to Boris, and good luck. Let's get Have a vaccine by the end of the year. We're doing very well with the vaccine. And I will tell you something. I just literally left a meeting. We're mobilizing our military and other forces, but we're mobilizing our military on the basis that we do have a vaccine. You know, it's a massive job to give this vaccine. Our military is now being mobilized. So at the end of the year, we're going to be able to give it to a lot of people very, very rapidly.
For decades, our politicians spent trillions of dollars rebuilding foreign nations, fighting foreign wars in areas and countries that you'd never even heard of, and defending foreign borders. But now we're finally protecting our nation, rebuilding our cities, and we are bringing our jobs, our factories, and our troops back home to the USA where they belong. For decades, our politicians spent trillions of dollars rebuilding foreign nations, fighting foreign wars in areas and countries that you'd never even heard of, and defending foreign borders. But now we're finally protecting our nation, rebuilding our cities, and we are bringing our jobs, our factories, and our troops back home to the USA where they belong.
Let us also remember that Trump is unique and set apart from all the other presidents because he has a mouthpiece that talks for him as well. We know this mouthpiece as Q the false prophet. Watch my video, The Cult of QAnon the False Prophet, to find out even more details of why this is so. You can see even all the signs that Q puts up and lying wonders that leads his followers on wild goose chases that lead to nowhere. Lying wonders to me means that they are very elaborate lies, like something you would see play out dramatically like in a reality TV show. And if you look at all the prophecies of Q where it tries to predict something, every prediction ultimately fails, yet its followers continue to buy into it, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
To look at Spain and France.
The president pressed about his health, his taxes, and the bogus conspiracy theory he's refusing to denounce, QAnon.
It is this theory that Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and that you are the savior of that. Now, can you just once and for all state that that is completely not true and that disavow QAnon in its entirety?
I know nothing about QAnon.
I just told you.
I know very little. You told me, but what you tell me doesn't necessarily make it fact. I hate to say that. I know nothing about it. I do know they are very much against pedophilia.
But there's not a satanic pedophile cult being run by.
I know nothing about that.
You don't know that? Okay.
No, I don't know that.
And neither week,
do you know that.
Okay, just this week you
retweeted. Why aren't you asking me about Antifa? Why aren't you asking me about the radical left?
Because you're
why
volunteering.
Why aren't you asking Joe Biden questions about why doesn't he condemn Antifa? Why does he say it doesn't exist?
Because you're here before me.
No, that's so cute.
President Trump also defending retweeting to his nearly 90 million followers another conspiracy about the death of Osama bin Laden.
That was a retweet. That was an opinion of somebody, and that was a retweet. I'll put it out there. People can decide for themselves. I don't take a position.
You're not like someone's crazy uncle who can just retweet whatever.
So getting back to chapter 13 in the book of Revelation, we read in the next verse, verse 7, "And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations." So if we go back to Trump's temple coins, we read it say, "War of the sons of light against the sons of darkness." So it seems that we would assume that the sons of light are referring to Trump and Netanyahu, but it isn't clear who the sons of light are. As far as we know, this coin could be referring to themselves as the sons of darkness. We can't say for sure, because it's not very specific, but we do know that they were referring to a war with the sons of light against the sons of darkness. This would be the war with the saints that is being referenced here in Revelation. And this is where the Antichrist is prophesied to reign from, which would be in the new temple in Jerusalem. This is the supposed place of the headquarters of the New World Order, and Trump has already immortalized himself with their new coins. So ultimately, you will have to decide for yourself what is the truth. Will you be choosing a fallible man like Trump to lead you to salvation? Or will you choose a higher source of love and knowledge like Jesus Christ to lead you? Because you will have to make the choice one way or the other, because no man can serve two masters. Thank you all for watching. Wish you the best. Please like and share and subscribe. Thank you very much. Take care.
We have the best medical equipment. We have the best medicines, all developed recently. And you're going to beat it. I didn't feel so good. And 2 days ago, I could have left 2 days ago. 2 days ago, I felt great, like better than I have in a long time. I said just recently, better than 20 years ago. Don't let it dominate. Don't let it take over your lives. Don't let that happen. We have the greatest country in the world. We're going back to work. We're going to be out front. As your leader, I had to do that. I knew there's danger to it, but I had to do it. I stood out front. I led. Nobody that's a leader would not do what I did. And I know there's a risk, there's a danger, but that's okay. And now I'm better, and maybe I'm immune, I don't know. But don't let it dominate your lives. Get out there, be careful. We have the best medicines in the world, and it all happened very shortly, and they're all getting approved, and the vaccines are coming momentarily. Thank you very much, and Walter Reed, what a group of people. Thank you very much.